I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for joining us. I'll call our regular school board meeting for Independent School District number 544 to order. And I will begin by asking the clerk to establish a quorum.
Okay. Kirby Anderson.
Here.
Natalie Knutson.
Here.
Melanie Cole.
Here.
Matthew Lemke. Missy Hermes, present. Stephen Vigasa.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. We have a short agenda tonight. I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda. A second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The agenda is approved, and we have a resolution to thank Michelle Harding and Barry and Pamela Betcher for their donations to the Otter Angel account, which is an account created to anonymously assist families that are unable to pay for student meals. So I will offer that resolution and move for its adoption. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion on the resolution?
Kirby Anderson.
Yes.
Natalie Knutson.
Yes.
Melanie Cole.
Yes.
Missy Hermes, yes. Stephen Vigasa.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. We have reports this evening, beginning with Lance Wells, talking about the food service update. Good evening.
Oh, nothing too flashy. The first thing I wanted to say just to the board here was, I read all the minutes and all the little attachments and all of these things, and half the time I don't understand a thing that's on there, but I am so glad that you guys do that work, because somebody has to, because it's not going to be somebody like me. So it's really high level stuff that you guys are working with all the time, and I'm just really grateful that you're able to do all that. I'm here to kind of talk about two little things that we have going on. One, I'm going to talk a little bit about Titan, which is our meal software, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things we've been doing to kind of give an update in case you don't follow us or eat here. Titan is our meal accounting software. I don't know if anyone or everyone's up to speed, but we were forced to switch over to a new software company because our old software was no longer being supported by Region 1, and I don't think anybody. I think that company got absorbed by somebody else, and now it's gone. Probably Titan would be my guess. And so we were given a couple choices that they were going to support, and this one seemed to be the most professional, the most organized, they had the best presentation, they seemed to have the most features, and all those things in a normal year probably would have been fine. It's only through Sue Lewis and the tech department, plus the meal computer operators, the district office, and folks like that have even gotten us this far. This has been a bit of a perfect storm of, and I mean a horrible time, to make this kind of switch. Because literally every school district in the country had to suddenly use their point of sale software after not using it. And in some cases, they weren't even ones that were serving, the free meals to everyone. There were school districts that were closed down in some parts of the country. And so a lot of them started in August when we were trying to get our system all set up. And so they were not overwhelming us with technical support. And Sue really had to do a ton of work to get it figured out, get it connected, get us as far as we've been able to get. In addition to everybody in the country using every software company in the country, everyone who switched in this area away from the Region 1 Meals Plus to this, they were all needing help the same time we were. Typically the process is they would send somebody in to do the setup and get everything up and running. They would do a test run, there would be training, and then they would come back for like the first couple of days of school to make sure everything is working properly, and just I can't get people to deliver food. I can't imagine how hard it is to find people of that technical level that know that software that can go into a school and actually be useful. So that's been a bit of a challenge. So I asked Sue for give me some meat, something that I can tell them that's awesome about what's going on. And she gave me kind of a bulleted list of do and don't. Parents can make payments to their child's lunch account via RevTrack, which is what we were using, and those payments post automatically to the student's account in the Titan Food Service System. So money into RevTrack like it used to, it is connecting into Titan Food Service System. Our lunch managers of each building do no longer need to manually enter payments, which we were doing. We were receiving that information and big long reports and sorting through it and having to enter it all by hand. That was an absolute nightmare. Part of that auto-replenish through RevTrack is not functioning at this time, and we plan to work on this with RevTrack. There's some of this that's doing more of this. Parents do have two places where they can view their child's current lunch account balance, in RevTrack and in Parent View. and that parent view is on the student's info page. The student's current balance is updated to these two systems several times a day. And I think somebody told me once it was like 4 times a day that gets updated. Titan Food Service software and School Messenger are being integrated, so low balance messages and negative balance messages will be sent automatically to parents via School Messenger. Low balance messages are sent when a child's lunch account balance is between $0.01 and $10, which is something we raised from $5. If we need to raise that or lower that back down, we need to know. Negative balance messages are sent when the child's lunch account is below 0. This system should be operational later this week. That is good news. We are working on the setup of the Titan Family Portal, which allows parents to view their child's lunch account transactions to see what they're buying. Both payments and meals. Parents will create a Titan Family account and will enter their child's lunch number, first and last name, date of birth to link their children to their portal account. Then by default, Titan Family Portal informs parents that they can make payments to their child's lunch account in the portal and then charges the parents a $2.95 payment processing fee for each payment. We are looking into ways we can direct payments to continue to make their lunch account payments through RevTrack. This is all making multiple different softwares who are not intentionally originally made to get together and have a good time, forcing them into a cage and letting them fight it out until one works or the other. And again, Sue has been kind of, and of course Rhonda and Jesse, I mean everybody in the tech department has been miraculous with what they've been doing, but Sue has really spearheaded this as far as we've gotten, and it's just amazing we're moving this much, as much difficulty as we were having earlier in the year. Food, let's talk about food. In no particular order, and I told my folks, I said, I'm gonna need a list someday. Let's see, we've been moving away from canned fruit reliance via commodities. That was a way that we used to spend the bulk of our commodity dollars because it was something readily available, it was always a juice, it was never an issue. Over this last year, it became harder and harder for companies to ship that canned fruit. It's an expensive item for shipping and not a lot of money for what it costs via the commodities. And so we didn't put a lot of money into our canned fruits like that. We did more into frozen, more into ground beef, more into other food items. That makes it so I'm not constantly having to try to use up, mixed fruit or canned pears or whatever. We can have bananas, we can have grapes, we can have apples, we can have oranges, we can have pineapple, we can have cantaloupe, we can have whatever we want because I'm not stuck with the idea of having tons of canned fruit. That being said, canned fruit is still a choice. Lots of kids like it, especially pears. That's the most popular. And so we do serve canned fruit. It is every day here at Kennedy. They have like 4 kinds of canned fruit to choose from, plus whole fruit, fresh fruit, all of that. We've been, blueberries, peaches, strawberry cups, those kind of things. In the canned fruit category now, because we're not stuck with the 3 main canned fruits, we can do pineapple and mandarin oranges and tropical fruit. We have a little more variety because we're not trapped with, the 4 that come from commodity that I had to buy tons. We would get like 230 cases of pears. And sometimes you would get like 170 of those in one chunk. And so then they're just sitting there in your storeroom and you can't move until you get rid of a bunch. So guess what? There's pears, a lot of pears happening. So we've eliminated that. That doesn't happen anymore. We've added a fruit or veggie of the month. This has been a team effort between our RD Angela down at Lincoln and our lead produce person, Jessica, and Chef David. So far we've done jicama. Acorn squash is actually tomorrow. We'll be roasting 970 slices of acorn squash to go out to the schools. And sweet potatoes, or yams if you prefer, are next month. At KSS, we separate the apples and tag them now so the kids know what each apple is about, what its profile is. And so instead of taking the same apple over and over and over out of this random lot and not eating it and throwing it away, they're starting to dial in on the ones that they like the best, ones that they like the least. They know what a river bell is. They know what a first kiss is. They know what a gala is supposed to be like because we're teaching them how to make those judgments. And this year, just so far, we've had Pink Lady, Cortland, Macintosh, Crips Pink, River Bell, Zester, Sweet Tango, Granny Smith, Honey Crisp, First Kiss, Paula Reds, Fuji's, Gala's, Red Delicious, and Golden Delicious. And about half of those were all Minnesota. And we got them just as they were coming into season. A couple weeks they were gone, then it was the next apple that we were getting in. It was really fun to be able to get some of that. We do have a lot of Minnesota local produce available to us through our produce company, Bix. They have an incredible portfolio of things. And when given the option of local or not, I always buy the local, even if it's a little bit more expensive. I think it pays off in the long run. It hasn't traveled 1,000, 1,500 miles to get to us, so it's a lot better. We've been taste testing a bunch of different things from in sides, from roasted baby reds to squash, jicama fries, baked zucchini, yams with whipped ginger butter. We've even done a beetroot chutney on the salad bar. trying to expand and expose kids to different flavors and tastes. We've expanded the amount of raw meat we work with. We're working with a lot more whole muscle stuff, so that would be, your chickens and your turkeys and your pork loins and your pork butts and inside rounds, those kind of hunks of meat. Chicken thighs, if I didn't mention that. We do have a slicer that's on order that was part of our purchases over the last year, and we'll be able to do beef items. We can cut beef for stew. You can't buy stew meat. Stew meat's $8.99 a pound, but I can get a whole inside round, a bear and a beef for like $2.98 a pound. But I just have to pay somebody to cut it up into little tiny cubes so that we can make it into something. Well, for $8 a pound, I can afford to pay somebody to do that. And so this winter, you'll see stew. That'll be something that we'll be doing. So we work with chicken breasts. We don't buy the processed diced chicken anymore. We buy fresh chicken breasts. They are seared. They are slow roasted in the oven, and then they're diced or sliced to be whatever. We can season them however they want. Oh, we need 12 Italian chicken breasts worth of meat. Okay, there it is. We can make it barbecue. We can do it Cajun. We can do any flavor. It gives us the control. Also takes away the processing stuff that they put in that stuff to make it white, because it's otherwise dark meat, and so they do things to do that. Not us, but the people who sell that. Both the Nashville hot chicken and the roasted pork bowl are a couple of things that we made. We make those both from scratch. Both have replaced entirely processed entrees and are actually twice as popular or more than the items that they replaced, and they were a fraction of the cost. I don't think if I listed someplace here, but the Nashville hot chicken probably is costing us 50, 60, probably about 70 cents, and the meatloaf that it replaced was costing us $1.30 just for the meatloaf before we added potatoes. So I mean, there's little things like that. Meatballs, on the other hand, we can't afford to make them. I can't even buy the ground beef for the price that I get out of a meatball. It's crazy. David and I have been working on that for about 3 weeks now, trying to figure out how we can make a meatball that's great, but is still in the same price category. Because we can't go crazy here. I mean, it'd be easy to do a Wagyu meatball, and it'd be amazing, but it would also be super expensive. We've expanded the fruit and veg bars in the small KSS small food court, because we have the big food court, we have the little food court. The little food court was always set up for grab and go, because kids were able to take their food and go eat wherever. This year they have to stay and keep their food inside the cafeteria, so now it's became more of a grab and eat. So we've switched that over into more bulk, less package, that's less garbage. They have a lot more choices, a lot more variety of things to choose from. It's a lot closer to what the other salad bars look like. But there's always that issue of space. There's only so much room for stuff. We're doing some new items also at the elementary. A lot of what we do at Kennedy School is practicing and developing things that later can transfer down into the other schools. A great example is at the end of this month, we're going to be doing a teriyaki chicken lo mein. That's going to be a scratch-made item. The only thing we're not making is the noodles. Next month, it's going to be chili and a cinnamon roll. That's a classic school lunch. That sounds really crazy, but most of the country eats that every single month. It's probably as popular in other school districts as turkey gravy is here. It's considered to be one of the most popular. I don't know that we've ever had it here, but I have somebody who makes a great chili, and we can easily do the cinnamon rolls. KSS makes its own breakfast pizza at the Plunge Pool Breakfast for Lunch. We used to serve a pre-made processed two little squares that was breakfast pizza. Now they get a big full size like our house-made pizza is. Again, it's homemade, it's scratched, we control the sodium, we control the flavor. That's something that sells better than the breakfast pizza that it replaced. We're also making our own coleslaw dressing, our own granola. We make some of our ranch dressing that we use in other recipes. We have a whole litany of things that one by one, we just don't buy these things anymore because we're able to make something or make something better. We've introduced the use of fresh herbs into some items, and so we're getting a lot more of that. Lincoln School is slowly switching to mostly scratch cooking, and hopefully by the end of this school year, the bulk of what she's doing down there will be home-style foods. She works under a program called CACFP, as Child and Adult Food Care Program, and their portion guidelines are very different from the National School Lunch Program. In essence, you'd be cutting like a third of a hamburger off, or you get 2 chicken nuggets, and so doing something in a hot dish, a casserole, those kind of foods are they're a lot more wholesome for those kids at that age, and they're also a lot easier to give them the proper portions that they need to get. We're still waiting for the fruit and veg bars that we ordered for Cleveland. Like everything else in this world, including the chillers and everything else, that's just sitting somewhere waiting to make its turn to come here. Once that gets here, those students will have multiple fruits and veggies at a self-service stations at Cleveland. And we have a process to how we'll slowly introduce them to that concept. And one, if they came today, Certainly by February, they would be full-blown self-service. Nobody even needs to watch them anymore. They're so good at it. And the value of that is not only do they get exposed to more fruits and vegetables, but if you're carrot guy, and it's not carrot day, it's a lot harder to get you to take a vegetable. But if I have carrots every day, and I also have broccoli every day, and I have cauliflower every day, or I have whatever, this assortment of veggies every day, then you're more likely to take the veggie, or even take a chance on a little piece of broccoli. I don't know, you might like it, you never know. But giving them that option directly translates into them eating better. Then when they come to Kennedy, they will have a much better sense of how much to take because they've already been practicing this concept. That usually takes the fifth graders a few weeks to adjust to, wow, I can take everything, and then they realize, oh, that was a lot, and so then they start cutting back pretty quickly. But we could actually teach them earlier to do that. Tonight for your meal, I kind of went out on a little limb, I hope you don't mind, but I learned how to cook BIR, that's British-inspired recipe Indian cuisine. And I have a few dishes that are really good. One of them is a potato and red lentil dal or curry. It's no heat, very mild. It's the first thing we're going to try in the food court as Indian cuisine. If anybody has missed the news anywhere, the Indian culture and Indian cuisine, Indian movies, really anything from India is, in Pakistan and Bangladesh, that whole area is all very hot. It's culturally hot, it's food hot, it's very much in the news, and so this is a great time to jump onto probably a cuisine that half the world is eating, so it would be a good time to do that. So you're having this red lentil and potato dal. You're having some naan with that, and it's going to be over a cumin rice, which is really nice that I cooked up for you. And so this is like what it'd be like if you were coming to the River City Food Court. You're probably going to get a hamburger, but wait a minute. What's that over there? I don't know. I'm going to have to maybe try that. And so that's the type of culture that we're trying to build here at Kennedy, is to get these kids to try new things from other cultures, expand their horizons, and get them to realize that, just because they had beets once doesn't mean that every single beet dish is horrible. Just maybe that one. So that's all I have. Sorry, that was a lot. Sorry. Questions? Anybody? You always have great questions.
You mentioned a $295 processing fee. I didn't catch what that was.
So that is through Titan.
Okay.
I don't know a ton about the RevTrack world, but it's my understanding that RevTrack is incredibly value oriented for the payment. And so that's where we're trying to get RevTrack to link up with Titan. But Titan, of course, being the overlord of all all software and stuff, they have their own payment system.
Okay.
And so their payment system will charge you $2.95. That's why she's trying to get it switched over to RevTrack.
Okay, so whenever you make a payment to your kid's account, it's going to charge an additional $295?
By default, Titan Family Portal informs parents that they can make the payment to the Child's Lunch account in the portal and then charges the parent $2.95. I have not seen the actual screen, but I'm guessing it probably says there that there's a $2.95. It's my presumption that that's probably closer to the normal price that companies charge to do this. RevTrack, I'm told, is extraordinarily low.
Okay, I just don't remember ever paying an extra fee to replenish my
Well, this
kids.
would be just this year, and only this is something they're still trying to get it hooked up so that we can do that. Sue Lewis would be the one to ask those more detailed questions. I'm more of the overview person in this process because a lot of it is technical and we're switching from one type of setup to another, and it's easy to get the two confused when we're trying to communicate to you guys what's going on. But she can answer any questions that you would have about the specifics on.
Yeah.
But my cursory understanding is we want to stick with RevTrack because it's super cheap, because I guess we pay the fee for that, I think. Does that anybody know anything about this? So I think we pay for the fee of this. So of course, seeing a $2.95 fee, that makes it not as awesome. And even if we charge the parents, I think the concern is that, well, a lot of parents are putting in $3 at a time all the time, or $5 at a time. So they'd be putting as much in fees as they would. And so there was some concern that maybe that's an issue. I don't know if any of these are actually issues. I think pretty much everybody's used to having to pay for any kind of service that is performed.
The other thing
anymore.
is the auto replenish too. I mean, I always found it frustrating I had my kids' stuff on auto replenish, and so I kept the accounts low, right? And I would just let the auto replenish, but then I get like 20 texts and phone calls, and my kids' account is low. If there's a request, I guess my request would be like if somebody is on auto replenish, and if that's going to be still a thing, that they could have the alerts turned off, so they can continue to do
that Would be a
Yes.
great question if I could borrow anyone's pen if they felt comfortable loaning me their pen quick.
And then, but if I'm gonna get charged $2.95 every time my kid's thing auto replenishes, I'm not okay with that either, so.
Right.
No.
Yeah, as a side note, I'll reach out to Sue Lewis because as a member of the Region 1 board, if there's not adequate customer service and explanation of how we can eliminate some of these problems, then.
The ones that I was specifically detailing, those are Titan issues. The rev track thing is a whole other thing that she's trying to get worked out. I assume that the customer service has been good with Region 1. I think we've been working with Anthony, if I remember right. Does that name sound
Yep.
right? I don't think they've been holding us up. I think it's all the rest of us.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna
If we could have just gone back in time and done this whole thing over, we would have found out, summer, like, of the previous school year. So that we could have had, instead of finding out at the end of the year, hey, by next fall. We had the option of waiting until December, but from my experience, switching mid-year is even worse than what we're going through now. We are not awesomely happy about the situation with Titan, but currently it kind of is what it is, and we're just having to bear through it. The good news is a transaction, when you have to take someone's check and enter it in the system, it takes less than 60 seconds, which is the same as Meals Plus. They're able to push buttons. They're actually a lot easier to ring up people on the current meal computer because there's a lot less stuff. The clear button isn't next to the cash tendered or account button, which was a problem with Meals Plus. So to that respect, it's good. Our reports are coming out. They seem to be pretty accurate. Kelly seemed to be okay on getting the applications and the downloads and stuff. She seemed to be able to get that through pretty smoothly. So it's just this whole payment, parent, bank, interconnection thing that it's just this one thing. And I bet once this one thing gets figured out, I bet these other things will fall in place because they're all kind of interrelated. They're all around the same topic.
Okay.
I wish I had more to tell you, but once it gets beyond just my kind of level of being able to tell you about this, then it starts to become more complicated, so. Missy?
Yeah, what's going on at the ALC? What about their options and?
Well, they
how
have
does that
like
work for
30
them?
some options a day that they choose from. They pre-order their own food.
And when did they pre-order that?
What's that?
When did they pre-order that?
They have until like 10, 15 to.
Every day you order every
Yeah,
day?
and they order it for that day.
Mhm.
The statisticalness of it is a lot of kids would order and then not show up the next day. We have several kids who will order and then an hour later they didn't make it through the school day. And so to limit the amount of leftovers that we produce, send, and then just throw away, we just have them order on the same day. And we do about 30, and when the treatment kids order in, that's probably another, we get up to 40 sometimes that are ordered. And so essentially they're custom ordering their meal.
So they have the same options?
Not everything. There's some things that we found can't transport or hold. There's things at Kennedy School that, are here, into here, here's the kid, because it just doesn't survive the process any other way. But they've got 28 to 30 choices. I don't remember the last time I counted, but they have everything we can reasonably send them or anything that would still look good after it sat over there. But they have all that, yeah.
Any other questions for food director? Thanks for the report, Lance.
Thanks, Lance.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
Anything else?
Okay, well,
Thank you.
just how much time before I need to be back up here? What time do I got?
I'd say at least a half hour.
Half
Yeah,
hour?
at least
Perfect.
around
I'll be back up before
6:15.
half an hour.
Maybe 6:15?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, thanks. All right, Scott Holbeck, elementary principal, McKinley and Adams.
Good evening. So you all know we have a terrific 544 Education Foundation. We had 9 grants awarded to McKinley and Adams for a total of $11,400 recently. So we're just very appreciative and thankful of their support. Last time I visited with you, I talked to you about local guest artist Sarah Ronovic. She taught an art lesson to all the second grade classrooms. She has now started getting through the first grade classrooms as of today, so we're excited about that. Kindergarten recently visited the fire station. We sent 3 classes down there, then 4, and then 3. We did that all in the same day. The first group, very exciting because they actually got to see a truck respond to a call, so some extra excitement there. We have started our weekly recognitions of recognizing first and second grade kids for the behaviors of being safe, kind, respectful, responsible, ready to learn. Kids are proud of these recognitions and certificates. They have their pictures taken and placed on the wall, and so that's a big deal. We have that going on now. We're in our 5th week of that. Parent-teacher conferences ended up last week. I can't give you any numbers for Adams, but I can tell you that at McKinley School, of the 242 students, we had 234 who were represented by an adult at their conference for 96.7% attendance, so that's really good. All kindergartners at McKinley School now can do 3 things. They can follow directions the first time, none of them blurt anymore, and they all keep their hands to themselves.
Yeah.
Those are the superpowers that they all have now, that were 30 days through school. Today was day 32.
Blurting, keeping your hands to yourself.
And follow directions the first time, yeah, absolutely. So, a lot of superpowers going on over there. All students at Adams and McKinley have made their fall visit to the Prairie Wetland Learning Center. So obviously we're fortunate that they can get out there 2 or 3 times a year. Last time I was here on September 26th, I was telling you about a book fair going on at McKinley. I can report to you that each classroom, we don't do book fairs for this reason, but this is a nice little outcome. Each classroom received $56 for their classroom, 15 classrooms. That includes the 12 regular ed plus PE music and our special ed resource room. 2 more things. Officer Kitzman, he's our school resource officer. Twice a year, he tries to get into all of the classrooms, K through 2, and read a story. He's just about ready to get going reading a story here titled Officer Buckle and Gloria. It's about a police officer and his canine, the canine Gloria. So that's kind of a neat thing that he does. And then he has a safety talk with the kids, and he talks with them about strangers. What do you do? Should you see a stranger on the playground or in your backyard? Who should you tell? What should you do? Should you go with that person? And then he challenges all of the kids to learn the first name of their mom and to learn the first name of their dad and to memorize their home address. It's amazing how many of these little kids just don't know that information. So that's what he does, and that's what he'll do. And then lastly, I mentioned this last time I was here, we still have not had a day yet where we haven't been able to go outside in the morning before school or afternoon recess. So the weather's been great. Our yards are very dry. But that's my report, my brief report for tonight.
All right,
Any questions?
thank you. Cindy Rund, our elementary principal for Cleveland. Hello.
Hello, good evening. I always look forward to this day in October because I get to wear this jersey that is a hand-me-down. So it is Friendship Week at Cleveland, and it's always interesting. The kids at Cleveland are at the stage of development where they're realizing their circle of friends grows and grows and grows. We need to help them learn that sometimes friends need a break from one another, and it's okay to find a different friend to play with at recess time. They are learning how to share their friends with one another. And so we do a lot of talking about friendship at Cleveland. This week, Katie Yagi, our school counselor, is visiting classrooms and doing classroom lessons, and this is her theme, talking about all of the skills that go into building friendships, with the values and actions that go into building friendships. So the theme today was Be a Good Sport, wear a jersey or sports gear. Tomorrow, we have a new theme, Friends Make Things Brighter, and so everybody's digging out their bright clothes or neon colored clothes, so they look forward to this week, and we have some fun with that. Fall conferences, we always say it's always a good time to conference with parents, and our job is to partner with parents in the education of their children. And we're really, really pleased with the turnout at Cleveland. A big thank you to our parents for coming, and also to Tara Price, our para-educator, who's our librarian. She hosts a book fair, and that's just a great draw. That there were people in there all the time buying books for their own children, or a book to give to their child's classroom, for the classroom libraries. It's exciting, and it just creates a lot of interest and fun for those families. I just wanted a big thank you to our Otter PTO. They remain a very involved group and provided a lunch for teachers on that very full, busy Friday. So teachers were able to just sneak in and have a bowl of soup and a little goodie to kind of keep them going on with the day. Also, a big thank you to our Otter PTO for sponsoring a field trip for our 3rd graders this week. The 3rd graders will be going to the MSUM Planetarium and Oceanarium tomorrow and the next day. I'll have 4 classes going each of those days, And this goes hand in hand with their current study of the solar system. So it's really going to be a highlight of their study here as they're doing research on planets too. And the oceanarium, so 2 groups will go to the planetarium while 2 other classrooms will be in the oceanarium, and then they'll just walk kind of kitty corner across campus and get that other experience, have lunch up there, and then be able to get back in time for the end of the school dismissal. This same group is very busy this week. They're also taking, the 3rd graders are also taking their October field trip to Prairie Wetlands Learning Center. So one day they'll be at MSUM, the next day they'll be out at Prairie, and then some of these students will also get to take a ride on the fire truck as being selected winners of the annual fire safety poster contest. This year's theme was Fire Won't Wait, Please Plan Your Escape. And so the following students had designs that really featured this theme very well and had posters that were selected to be this year's winners. In 3rd grade, Cora Rognus, Rise Larson, and Laura Kowalska had posters that were selected. And in 4th grade, Harper Holding Eagle, Charlotte Zielinski, and Tova Ronovic. So these kids will get to enjoy a ride on the fire truck and lunch with the firefighters this week. So thanks to the our local fire department for sponsoring this each year. And then lastly, next Thursday, November 3rd, already marks the end of 1st quarter. And at the elementary level, we send the progress reports home with students. So parents can anticipate receiving their child's 1st quarter progress report on Friday, November 11th. And that concludes my report for the evening.
All right. Any questions for Principal Ron? Thank you. Principal Ivan Hurst.
Good evening. Hi, everybody. I just want to take this opportunity to thank the 544 Ed Foundation for their support. I believe that they had over $40,000 in benefits to our students this year, and then also recognize their work for granting the support via the classroom wish lists. So there's really just some fantastic report in our community for the education that this district has. So needs to be noted. And then also Mary Madison with community education and other support that she helps run is Adopt a Classroom. And that's a partnership with our local businesses that she gets funds to help support our classrooms in 5th and 6th grade. So there's another support in our community, and that can't be recognized enough. Over the last few weeks, maybe 3 weeks, we worked with the 6th grade teachers and the technology committee. In the past, we've had Chromebooks only going home to students in grades 7 through 12 post-pandemic, and our 6th grade teachers really felt like our 6th graders would benefit from having that device being able to be brought home. This was spurred on primarily by the math curriculum that we purchased, and there's an online program with that curriculum called Alex. This is an interactive program that adjusts based on how well students are doing answering the questions. But if the key to all this is that parents so often say that they can't help with math at home. Well, this program will show you how to do it correctly, and that's really a big help. I'm getting to experience that right now as I teach my 8th grader how to use that. So look, honey, it shows right here what to do. So I can speak to that firsthand. But the 6th graders now are going to bring their Chromebooks home. They have Chromebook protection open for the next couple of weeks, and so we've opened that back up for 6th grade families. So I think that's a great app. Parent-teacher conferences, we had similar participation in our conferences to what we had last year when I looked up our percentages. At 5th and 6th grade, we had 93% participation, so that's a really strong number. 7th and 8th grade, it was 73%. That was down just a few percentage from the prior year. So overall, seems to be pretty good. We had a variety show last week, MEA week. Our variety show is for students in the middle school that want to express themselves, and it's really pretty good. Students they might dance, they might have a skit, they might tell jokes, magic act, all kinds of different things. In fact, the first show this year was, what should we do for the talent show skit? So they debated on the stage for quite some time about what they should do for the talent show. That was their talent. Very clever. We had 9 total acts for the show. Our students at the student event were very well behaved, so I was really happy with that, because sometimes you can get the giggles, and middle school students might do that. But here's the best part for me. The students on stage, I think that goes without saying, outstanding, impressive, takes a lot of courage to get in front of people. And especially your peers, probably the hardest thing that we do. But the best part was Miss Sands has students being the MCs, students are running the sound and lights, and the students were the stage crew. So she had student participation all the way around with that. So appreciate her work with that. Our 8th grade science teachers are Miss Janelle Holt and Miss Carrie Flateau. They brought their students to the Fergus Falls Public Library recently to take in the We Are Water exhibit that was in town. This was an exhibit ran by the Minnesota Humanities Center and hosted by Otter Tail County. At this interactive exhibit, students learned about land changes over time, current stresses on water, and ways to conserve one of our most important resources. So I really appreciate Ms. Holt and Ms. Flateau to taking advantage of that opportunity and bringing our students off campus to experience that. And then Ms. Renee Erickson held her invention fair yet again with her students. That's one of her project-based learning items that she's done for quite some time. Students are tasked with developing an idea and creating a prototype that will help someone with a disability. You probably are quite aware of that, but there are a variety of projects, including electronic notification for blind people, and then a grabber for someone that was missing a hand. So kids being creative, thinking outside the box, working together, really good projects. So that's all I have tonight.
All right. Any questions for Principal Hurst? Thank you for the report. Next will be Principal Mark Anderson, High School IQ and ALC.
Good evening. So we had our career fair, it seems like forever ago, it was just last 2 weeks ago. We had a great opportunity for our kids. We worked hard to make sure we put some things together and worked with our local businesses to come in and do some trips. We talked to our staff in a survey. I didn't talk to them, we put a survey out to them, asked them what they thought we needed to add, what were some of the things that we could change time-wise. And then we asked our students, and we got a really good response back. And we meet this Thursday to review what this year's expo was and what we need to plan for next year. We heard a lot of really great things from kids and got a lot of great feedback from them. They'd like to see some of the things again, like what we've done per grade level. They don't get the same thing every year, so it's something new. The opportunity to get off campus was a huge piece for our juniors, and the opportunity to get in the Gold Gym was something we found to be very valuable for all of our students, 9 through 12. Just the amount of time we let each grade in there, might need to shorten it up for the 9th graders versus the seniors. So, but that goes without saying. So we had that. Our parent-teacher conferences, we didn't have the same percentages the middle school did. So we did take the opportunity to do some curriculum PLC standard alignment work. Our staff really got off the ground running really well. They put a lot of time and effort into that during that time. Got 4 hours in from most of the staff members in those departments. And have a great start at what we're looking to have them complete by December to move into step 2. And then one of the other things that the departments are finishing up in that process was we did an equity magnifier, trying to remove some of the barriers we have for kids in multiple different content areas, getting in or out of courses, whatever it might be. We're finishing that work up. One department's still finishing that up and get it to me here soon. We will be talking about that with our leadership team, and we'll be moving forward with our staff meeting on some of those topics. I'll bring some of those when we compile that information and let you hear about that information and how we're working on removing some of the barriers for our students. We have Maggie Hikus, is recognized for the PSAT test. She was one of the top scorers in the nation of the 50,000 students. So she was recognized. Her picture's on the TVs here, and it went to the TV station, so she was very proud of that. She wasn't a big fan of putting her picture out for everybody to see, but she was very much humbled by the opportunity to be recognized for her work here in the 9th through 12th grade here at Fergus Falls High School and our school district that she put in. I had the opportunity last Tuesday. Derek was at the section soccer for boys, and he needed someone to be here for the conference CLC cross country for boys and girls. I got to hand out awards and shake hands of the top 25 competitors in each. I had the opportunity to hand out an award to our boys. They won our CLC. I believe it was the first time they've ever won it. One of the great things was I actually knew they had won it before they did. It was cool to watch them sit there and kind of hold their arms together. They had counted points. They were pretty sure they'd won by 1, but weren't sure they added up right. So they did win by 1 point officially in the cross country for our CLC. So they're off and running literally again, it's election time. Our high school musical is coming up, November 10th through the 13th. It's The Addams Family. So mark your calendars, check that out on the activities website. Most of the nights are 7 o'clock, and there is a matinee obviously on 2 o'clock one day. We have Veterans Day, November 11th. Feel free to come and join us at 10 o'clock in the Gold Gym. We have a female speaker this year, and she has two daughters here and one that just graduated from the senior high. So in accordance of her speaking, she wasn't going to at first, but her kids said, "No, Mom, this is a pretty big honor." I've asked that they introduce her, so she'll be getting introduced by her daughter, so it'll be a pretty cool experience for them in that opportunity. We have Reggie Dobbs coming to speak that same week on the 9th. His message is he was adopted and obviously had some barriers in his life that he wants kids to understand that you can't allow the barriers you have to continue to be barriers. What can you change to make life better and move on? So he's going to talk about those experiences, about being adopted, how they kept him in places that he didn't need to be, and how he moved on from that to become what he is today. So we're looking forward to that opportunity this next week with him. That's a lot of what's going on at the high school right now. The ALC, they had an opportunity. Christine Salakar, our new science teacher, took students up to the Map Stars Fall Leadership. So that is the beginning process of what their work at the ALC is going to be in their volunteer work, giving back to the community. So she spent a couple days with our ALC students up there at that conference. So I'm excited to see what they're working on, and I'm really excited to see what it looks like in May when they go back and actually present the things that they've done for our community and the students at the ALC. One of the big things Kristen and the ALC have been doing, they started some of their standards alignment last year with the idea that they wanted to go to competency-based education, which is basically standards-based grading. They want to get away from hours and minutes in classes, and this offers kids a different way to get their credits versus always worrying about how many minutes or time they put into the course. It's about what they've learned from it. So the big piece of that is they have to master their standards, but they have multiple ways to share how they've gained it in an assessment. It could be a regular test, could be a play, a skit, it could be a one-on-one conversation, it could be a presentation. So she's been working hard with the staff over there, and I'm really excited to see the work that they're going to do and what that looks like next year, which will be much different than what they're used to. So it's a process that they're working through. Their conferences, they had 91 students, and 43 parents came, so they had about 47% of their parents came, which is down from last year. They just struggle getting parents to come in to meet with them on the conference night. And currently, there are 10 kids on the ALC waiting list. So she's looking at what that looks like, and we're trying to be very conscious of what is too much over there right now. And when we were at 100 kids, that's pushing that limit to an awful high limit. So we're looking at what does it look like to keep the number around 90 instead of staying at the 100 piece. So she has about 10 kids that are looking at it. She will take a student, especially a senior, who is on track and is very willing to put the time and effort in to make it to graduation. But there's conversations she wants to have when that happens. IQ, they had the opportunity to attend the zoo up in the Minnesota Zoo. A lot of the parents and kids were talking about past experiences when they go to something in the spring, and it was late. They didn't get to build a relationship with the kids in their class or the teacher, so now they're going in the fall instead. So they look forward to that. They also had conferences. They met online, obviously, and they worked through that, and they have met with a lot of their parents and students and connected with them. They are right now growing. They grew from last month. Right now, Ryan and Teresa say they're getting about 10 students a week on average. So we'll see what that looks like as we go through the school year. One of the things they're working on with ESSA, their data and assessments, is they have 71% of their kids passing courses right now. But the weird part is students passing all their classes is 55%. So their goal is to be 75. So they're working up. It's hard. Kids coming into IQ usually bounce a little bit here and there. So they're trying to get that number up to 75% that are passing all their courses. So they're continually reaching out and communicating with parents and trying to get them engaged into what's going on with their son or daughter's education. And that's all I have.
All right. Any questions for Principal Anderson?
With the career fair, you hear about some businesses that offer incentives for going to work for them. They'll pay for, college and all. I think LB Homes does that. Are you seeing more of that in the career fair? Like, I guess the reason I ask is you know, you have these 18-year-olds and a lot of them are gonna be gone for 4 years, what's the incentive for the business to be here?
Yep.
You know?
Those are conversations that we've been having
Yeah.
in my short time here. One of the conversations that I'm very used to having. It is in their best interest as a business to figure out what that looks like.
Yeah.
And if you're staying here, what are the benefits? What are the bonuses you get for staying and working?
Yeah.
Or if you go off and you're gonna work, we have, I wanna say it's Titan. They actually gave a $20,000 scholarship to our senior who graduated last year, paid for his tools, paying for his 2 years of school, and he's working part-time for them right now with the expectation that I think he has to come back and work for them for 4 years.
Yeah.
RDO is doing the same type of thing, and in our meetings with Catherine for work-based learning, those are a lot of conversations that we start talking about, is if you want the kids who don't know what's next, like they're a senior, they think they want to go to school, but they're like, you know what, I'm not sure I'm gonna spend the money right now. What is it in that career that you have in this community that will get them to be engaged and want to stay?
Well, you know, and I have a junior, and I talk to him and his friends, and that is, a lot of them are saying this,
Yeah.
like, school is so expensive, I don't wanna waste my money.
Yep.
You know, and this is something that I wasn't around when I was in school,
Yep.
but.
And it's one of the things we've talked about, one of the, there are certain kids that are absolutely going 4-year, that's their plan, they've had that. Some are 2, finances are a big piece. Shane did a really nice job in our class meetings, talking about if you're going to the 4-year, your GPA is as important or more important than your ACT. That's the first thing they look at, how they drop funds, how much you have to pay. So there's a lot of conversations we're having, and one of the things we'll be doing as we move into the outer time next year is making sure by the time our kids graduate, asking the right questions to the colleges and to the employers in the community. If I stay here, what are you gonna do to benefit? And I mean this appropriately, right? Benefit me to wanna be here in this community for the next 50 years.
Right. Cool.
Any other questions? Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you.
Superintendent Drake.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
It's low tech tonight. First of all, under thank yous, I do want to express my appreciation for our fall coaches and advisors. We still have some activities ongoing, but some have wrapped up here recently, and I appreciate all the extra time and effort that our coaches and advisors put in working with our students. Also want to thank our faculty for the extra hours they put in for parent-teacher conferences and reaching out to our families to build those connections and relationships, and to our Otter families for taking time out of their busy schedules to come and meet with us face-to-face and talk about the educational experience of their children. I want to say a thank you to Lance and the food service staff for all their hard work. As you saw tonight, Lance is very passionate about the work they do in food service. They are extremely innovative and really making extra efforts to make sure that kids have healthy options in a wide variety. So appreciate that very much. And October is National Principals Month. They also get a special day in May, but aside from the student's classroom teacher, there's no more important person in setting the culture, tone, and expectations of a school than the building principal. So you are appreciated, and thank you for all your hard work in guiding the buildings that you head up. Under the facility side of things, the Fergus Falls Public School District and the Moorhead Public School District are in the process of drafting a joint letter, which we expect will also be signed on by Representative Rasmussen and Representative Marquardt, and possibly some other city-affiliated signatories as well, that will end up going to Commissioner Mueller. And again, this is another appeals process to the very limited interpretation of the state statutes governing the use of LTFM health and safety funds for our HVAC projects. We've had really good support from both representatives, and some indication from some other people that the way the department is interpreting these statutes was not the intent under which they were written. So that will be the next step in our process. If we don't gain any traction through that, then really our next recourse will be working with the spring legislative session to get the language adjusted. But I do have I do have a positive affirmation that this will turn out to support what we're trying to do. In the end, it's just going to take a while to go through the process. The ALC bathrooms, the toilets, urinals, and faucets were being installed last week. So then we were just waiting on the partitions. And my understanding is the portable rental lift units were being delivered to Lincoln, or not Lincoln, but Roosevelt for the roof mitigation system, snow and ice. So with that, that would tell us that that project's very, very close to starting as well. Just a notice to the public, I do enjoy getting out and meeting with various organizations to give updates on the school district and make connections. I did one of those with the VSP group at Bethlehem Lutheran Church here a week and a half ago or so, and I will do one this week for Bethel Church with their primetime group, and then meeting with the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors in late November. As civic groups, et cetera, have an interest in hearing updates on the school, I'm very, very happy to get out and have those meetings. I'm going to attempt a very succinct synopsis of the food service piece that Lance mentioned earlier. So essentially, our former food service software was discontinued through Region 1. And so the district had no choice but to go out and find a new food service software. There were two main players in the industry, and the district took a very detailed look at both of them. The one that was selected, which is called Titan, was vastly preferred over the alternative choice. When we brought the software in and attempted to integrate it with some of our other systems, that's where we've had some of these issues that we're working on the tech side to resolve. Titan, being the main food service software, wants to have its software be the default for people to deposit money into their child's lunch accounts. Our issue with Titan is that its fees are much higher than RevTrak. And so what the tech department has been working to do is to give people an easy avenue to deposit their money through RevTrak, where the fees are much lower than through Titan, where you're paying the $2.95 transaction fee. Just so people are aware, there are transaction fees for things like RevTrak as well. And depending on that fee structure, you may pay a fee for the initial service of it, so a transaction fee, and you also may be paying a fee based on the percentage of the overall deposit that you're making. And so you see that with things like Ticketmaster and some other services like that that you may use in your private life as well. For some of those fees, the district has picked up the cost for families over the course of time as a service and appreciation to our Otter families. But again, that's hopefully kind of a quick synopsis of what's going on and the efforts that we're trying to do to fix the situation. And then this, again, for our Otter families, if you find yourself in some struggling financially for some of the meal payments, et cetera, I just would encourage people to fill out the student school benefits application and see if you might qualify for free and reduced lunches. It not only helps families with the cost of meals, but it does provide additional revenue for the school, particularly to address literacy or reading through compensatory aid and Title I. With that, I will mention kind of a fun opportunity for our 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. It's called the Mayor for a Day Essay Contest. It's sponsored by the League of Minnesota Cities. And their question is, what would you do if you were mayor for a day? So it's a short essay. They have an opportunity to win $100 and also recognition in the Minnesota Cities magazine. And the deadline for submissions is December 12th. And those can either be attached as a PDF, they can be submitted online, or they can be through regular mail. And with that, I will open up to any questions.
Can I go back to the fee
Mhm.
payment?
Yep.
So if I don't wanna pay a $3 fee, what are my options? Can I write a check
You
to
you
put
could,
money in my child's account?
yes, you should be able to
And I
write a
can,
check.
there's no fee though for that.
There should not be any fee for that
If I
I'm
pay
aware of.
cash
Just a
and
direct
my
check to
child
the
can-
district with a designation
Okay.
going into my school, or my child's school lunch account, correct.
Okay, or they can bring cash,
They could bring, absolutely,
no fee
No
is
fee.
charged for that.
yep.
Okay, because I know, I understand paying a fee for Ticketmaster, but that's my choice, I'm gonna go to a concert.
Yeah.
I don't have a choice if I need to pay my child's lunch account. And $3 every time is a lot.
It is a lot, yep. I would say exorbitant.
Yeah.
Yes, so absolutely cash or check made out to the district with a designation to your child's lunch account would be alternatives.
Okay.
So do you feel like there's a way to give? Is it, I mean, right now it's through Titan right now, right?
Well, we really think that we'll have this resolved with the RevTrak access. I think Lance mentioned this week when we had met as a tech committee, they thought they were on the cusp of having this resolved. So it's just taken longer than they anticipated. You're trying to mesh softwares, as Lance had said, that really were never intended to talk with each other and try to make them work, so. I do appreciate all the time and effort, and it's been a lot of time and a lot of effort, particularly by Sue Lewis, to try to get these things communicating properly.
Any other questions for the superintendent?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the general consent items, we have for approval the minutes from our October 10th board meeting, and then several personnel minutes. So Elaine Jenkins, please tell us.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Kind of the main focus on personnel changes is will be our special education professionals. We have 3 resignations: Lacey Scramstead, Angie Jolsrud, and Heidi Brown. Everything as far as the last workday and the school they work at is listed there. I won't go into those details. Support staff hires: Darlis Hagee and Gretchen Larson. There will be long-term substitute special ed paraprofessionals, and Amanda Nelson and Elisa Rostin. Amanda will be starting at Adams tomorrow, and Elisa will be starting at Cleveland tomorrow. Under certified staff hire, Jennifer Smith, special education teacher with IQ. Our IQ numbers are growing, as indicated by Principal Anderson, and so we are hiring a special education teacher to take some of that increase there at a .2604 FTE effective today. So I'd recommend these for board approval.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the general consent items?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right,
Missy and Steve?
correct. Any discussion on general consent? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. And move to new business where there's a motion suggested to approve the amended and restated joint powers agreement between the Fergus Falls Area Special Education Cooperative, number 935, with 8 area public schools: Fergus Falls, Ashby, Battle Lake, Breckenridge, Campbell, Tinta, Pelican Rapids, Rossing, and Underwood. Would someone make a motion to approve the restated joint powers agreement for our district?
I'll make that motion.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion on it? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, and looking for a motion to approve a contract between the school district and CMTA for commissioning project to maximize the energy efficiency at Lakeland School. Would someone make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
All right, we had that packet in our, or that information in our packet indicating a quick payback on.
$43,000 cost, and it's paid back in about 16 months.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Darn good deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any other discussion, comments, questions? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Very well, that concludes our agenda for this evening. We'll stay for a work session, talking once again with Mark Anderson about curriculum. You're getting to be regular, we love it, so there's that. And then we'll talk about facilities as well. Is there someone who will make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Thank you, we are adjourned.